and screwed up his eyes against the shimmer water out the perhaps a mile away. The weeds were flanked on a coral reef and buoyant that the open sea was dark blue within the irregular arcs of coral. The Logan was still as a moment lucky blue of all shaded and shadow green and purple, the patch between the palm turkey and the water was a thin stick, endless apparently for to relieve the proposition of palm and beach and water drew to a point at infinitely and always almost visible was the head. He jumped down from the truck. The sand was thick over this black shoes and the hat had him. He because confusion of the white of clothes kicked his shoes off fiercely and ripped off each stocking with it elastic his short and stood there among the scale-like coconut with green shadows from the palm and the forest sliding over his skin. He ended the snack clasp of his belt, lugged off his shirt and pant, and stood there naked looking at the dazzling beach and the water. He was old enough, 12 years and a few months, to have lost the premonition Timmy of childhood and not yet old enough for adolescence to have made him a word. You could see now that he might make a boxer as far as width and heaving as shoulder wound, but there was a mildness about his mouth and eyes that proclaimed no devil. He patted the palm trunk softly and forced at last to believe in the reality of the island, laughed lightly again and stood on his head. He turned naturally onto his feet, jumped down to the beach, knelt and swept a double armful of sand into a pile against his chest. Then he sat back and looked at the water with bright, exact eyes. The fat boy lowered himself over the truck and sat down carefully, using the edge as a seat. "I'm sorry I've been such a time." Then fruit. He wiped his glasses and adjusted them on his button nose. The frown had made a deep pink V on the bridge. He looked critically at Olaf's golden body and then down at his own clothes. He laid a hand on the end of a zipper that extended down his sheets. "My annuity." Then he opened the zipper with decision and pulled the whole wind breaker over his head. There Olaf looked at him sidelong and said nothing. "I accept well want to know all your name," said the fat boy, "and make a list way of to have a meeting. Relaf did not take the hand, so the fat boy was forced to community. I don't care what they call me, he said confidently, so long as they don't call me what they used to call me at school. Relaf was faintly interested. What was that? The fat boy glanced over his shoulder, then leaned toward Relaf. He whispered, "They used to call me Biggie." Relaf shrank with laugh. He jumped up. Biggie, Biggie, Relaf, please. Biggie clasped his hand in apprehension. I said I didn't want Biggie, Biggie. Relaf danced out into the hot air of the beach, and then returned as a fight plane with wing swept back, and machine grounded Biggie. Such a awe! He dived in the sand at Biggie's feet and lay there laughing. Biggie, grand relation, pleased display himself at even this much reconciliation, so long as you don't tell the other. Relaf giggled into the sand. The expression of pain and consideration returned to Biggie's face. Half assessed, he hastened back into the forest. Relaf stood up and trudged along to the right. Here the pitch was interrupted, a probability by the square motif of the landscape, a great platform of pink granite thrust up in comprehension through forest and rock and sand and ligand to make a rest 34 feet high. The top of his was covered with a thin layer of soil and score grass and shotted with young palm trees. There was not enough soil for them to grow to any height, and when they reached perhaps 20 feet, they fell and dripped, forming a cross pattern of trunk, very convenient to sit on. The palm that still stood made a green roof covered on the understood with a quivering tingle of reflection from the legend. Relaf held himself on this platform, noted the coolness, and shed an eye undecided that the shadow on his body were light green. He picked his way to the clear, to the sword edge of the platform and stood looking down into the water. It was clear to the bottom and bright with the efflorescence of tropical weed and coral. A school of teeny, glittering fish flocked height and highly. Relaf spoke to himself, sounds the bass string of delight. Beyond the platform there was more intermission, some act of good, a typhoon perhaps, or the storm that had accompanied his own arrival had pinked sand inside the lagoon, so that there was a long deep pool in the beach with a high ledge of pink grit at the further end. Relaf had been, and he approached this one purporting to be disappointed, but the island ran to form, and the incredible pool, which clearly was only invited by the sea at high tide, was so deep at one end as to be dark green. Relaf inspected the whole 30 yards carefully, and then plumping The water was warmer than his blood, and he might have been swimming in a high pot. Big upright again, sat on the rocked ledge, and watched Ralph grin and wet Buddy enviously. "You can't half swim," Biggie